Good afternoon, everybody. This is Justin Publon, meteorologist with WisconsinWX.com. We have a lot to talk about, so let's talk about it. This is a YouTube only video. We did a live stream just a few minutes ago on our Facebook page, Wisconsin Weather. Go check that out. Go check the website where I'm going to talk about everything that I've already talked about there on this video and in more detail, obviously. We got a lot more things to talk about, and I want to do this a little differently, a little bit more information, I guess, with this YouTube version here. Okay, this is our website. This is the story on the storm that's coming in here for Saturday. Major winter storm to develop Saturday night in Wisconsin. Several inches of snow are likely across portions of Wisconsin. This could turn into be a major event and perhaps blizzard-like for some. And now we have to watch out for the possibility of maybe an ice storm or ice storm conditions across northern Illinois. Basically, here's just a GIF loop of what's going on. This overall picture is you have sort of this activity there on Saturday across like the northern Illinois range area there, and then as you move into Saturday night, that big comet head of snow, the trowel, moves north and really smacks southeast Wisconsin. That's probably going to be the main event. Basically, what I'm just describing in here is that this is it's not out of the question that the storm track could move around a little bit here at this point. So but it appears right now that southeast Wisconsin is most at risk. My early look map, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the wind gusts are another aspect of this we'll talk about. Ice storm, which was showing a pretty strong signal today. Again, there's a lot of details with forecasting freezing rain and ice that you need to really be careful with that. And just a note about day 3 forecast is that because the storm is Saturday night, it's currently Thursday, things can change sometimes. So this is why we say that the details are still subject to change, could shift north or south. Please check back later for the latest information. Keep an eye out for stuff like what we're doing right now, what you're watching right now, and the Facebook Live video stuff we do. And help us spread the word by sharing these things with your family and friends. And then a note to when our next update is expected there Friday at 2 p.m. By that time, I should have something up. Okay, here's a current warning and watch situation. There's nothing across Wisconsin in this region. I don't want to keep going to range. It's like home on the range. Anyways, this is from today. This is an advisory for the snow and freezing rain, more of like a icy road situation. And then you have the watch down in here, and you have it mixed in there with kind of arbitrarily mixed. The mapping algorithm just kind of chose the wind advisories in some cases, and then the winter storm watch in some other cases. So anyways, it's the winter storm watch and a wind advisory kind of mixed together for the Davenport region. And that extends almost all the way over to Chicago. All right. Now this is what's happening currently to kind of a look at the long range, kind of where we're at, because we've been talking about this for a while. Now, last time we talked, and our members talked, we were in this region. We were pretty sure it was going to go up. The MJO was going to go in this direction, but we weren't 100% positive. Well, I'm here to tell you it definitely went into 4, and it's way into 4. It's going way into 4, way into 5, and perhaps way into 6 too. I don't actually have. I want to bring that up. I'm going to bring it up, dude, because this is really important to explain what we're talking about. The precipitation trends for the, let's see, we put it January, December, January, February. So phases 4, 5, and 6, wet for the, I would say, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio region. That could also mean Wisconsin. I mean, you may have a massive storm there on one day, and then it's dry for the next 7 days, and then another massive storm kind of thing, because you're having this big surge of moisture in you. So that's 4, 5, 6 is also wet across the Ohio Valley in Illinois and Wisconsin region in phase 7. So basically, we're talking right now we're on a trajectory that goes from this one all the way down through all these, as opposed to a 1 or 2 or 3. Now the 3, I see that there's a positive thing there going across Wisconsin, but these definitely 5, 6, and 7 and 4 are more exciting. Whereas 8 is dry, 2 is dry. And I'm sure if you went, the temperatures would also correspond. So I would say that phases 1 and 2 and 8 probably colder, whereas 5, 6, and 7 are probably warmer for Wisconsin, the Great Lakes region, especially eastern United States. That's what the MJO is showing. So basically, when I show you that it's going like this, that means it's going through a probably not going to be a massive cold. Probably the main story going to be storms. Okay, that's that. Just a really quick look at teleconnections showing that the PNA is very negative right now. But as we go through time, it may become positive. This is closer to the end of January, but here in the next week or two, it's probably going to be negative still. We're really reaching that negative point here this weekend. The Eastern Pacific Oscillation showing that, okay, now we might have a situation where cold could unlet into the central United States. And the NAO remains somewhat positive, but not runaway positive, just sort of there. So it's sort of somewhat progressive, but not, I guess. So that kind of helps to constrain things a little bit across the storm track across the United States. So basically, what it looks like to me is sort of a continuation of what we're moving into. I don't see a massive change anywhere in there. I mean, I do see that the PNA is going back towards a positive range, and eventually in late January, perhaps February, that could turn into a very cold pattern. Right now, though, it's definitely storms. Here's the upper air geopotential height anomaly. 500 millibar, just showing you where the positive ridges are here and where the negative troughs are. And you're seeing here at about, let's see, forecast hour 42. So this is just before the storm really kind of sets in across Wisconsin. And Wisconsin is here, by the way. Right here. Right in there. Okay. Here's a storm kind of moving out like this. You have a pretty good positive anomaly here. So let me actually use the positive symbol. And just a slightly negative, but better than negatives, and probably some blocking in there too. But two positives here with a trough in between. Okay, that is the definition of a negative PNA. And that's why it gets stormy, because what you have is the jet stream that comes up like it's just doing this weekend and producing a massive storm across the region. As we go through time, I haven't really looked too closely at this either, but you're seeing kind of that negative the western trough hold together. For the most part, as we go through the next week or two, perhaps you see that break down a little bit as we head into later parts of January. This is getting really towards the end of the operational model, but even when it goes to a more of a positive look to that PNA, it's not that crazily positive, and I guess it does open the door for a cold snap across the east. But I'm gonna bet that we're probably gonna return to something not exactly like this, but pretty close, because it's just what we keep going back to all the time now. This winter is the western trough. Okay. That's my anticipation. Again, we'll see as we get closer to the end of January. And that sort of goes along with the forecast I've laid out on our website. Now let's talk in detail about the storm that we're going to have this weekend. It could be a major one, as I mentioned, perhaps blizzard-like for some, with those wind gusts reaching up to 45 miles per hour in southeast Wisconsin as the snow is falling. This is going to be right here at about 6 p.m. on Friday. It's not even really in Wisconsin at all yet. But as we go into the evening on Friday, you may see some snow now really early on Saturday morning, and perhaps throughout the Saturday morning time frame. The NAM this is the GFS. The NAM is different. I didn't really have a chance to look closely at the European, but I'm guessing that it's somewhere in between the NAM and the GFS. On that aspect, I'm just pointing out that there could be snow there across that region. The biggest issue might actually be the ice in northern Illinois, and then it may even extend over into lower Michigan region. This is something to watch. It was a pretty strong signal today. However, it's really important to note that even just the slightest temperature difference, just 1 degree above or below freezing, makes an entire difference, and you get, instead of a heavy rain situation across here, you could even have like a heavy freezing rain, and that's how you get that inch of ice accumulation. Did I show you that? Oh, here it is. Oh, this is the latest NAM. Yeah, guys, you got to pay attention. Chicago area, northern Illinois, lower Michigan, really pay attention to that freezing rain forecast. This is a very strong signal. An inch of freezing rain is a big deal. It just only takes like a quarter inch of ice to create issues. Because what happens is the ice accumulates on branches, it accumulates on tree branches, vegetation, accumulates on the power lines. Obviously it's on the roads and surfaces, ground surfaces. It damages property. Things happen. You lose power. Okay, that could happen with this. So you really, really need to pay attention to that. We'll see how things look tomorrow. As I told the people on our website and on Facebook, Friday is the day to really get a close look at this. Because right now, we're still kind of far out. And that 1 to 1.5, I mean, 2.5 inches of freezing rain, you don't see that. You really don't see that ever around here. So we really need to be very careful how we approach that. But going back to not this, but this, showing you where that freezing rain corridor would be right in here. Pay attention to that. But also then as we move into Saturday night, you're going to see a change to the regime here. Again, the NAM wants to keep the party going for the most part. I foresee a lull during the midday hours on Saturday with a resurgence of snow from the southwest Saturday night. Going up like this. And this big trowel, comma head feature here on the backside of the storm as the storm strengthens leading up to that moment, moving northeast across Wisconsin. As I put it in motion here, you'll see, there you go. There's your heavy snow, several inches likely here with this. And then as we go through into, let's say we'll put this at 6 a.m. on Sunday, I think it'll be mostly done, but you could still have that wraparound snow falling across the eastern sections of Wisconsin there as late as 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. I tend to use the European timing, but I'm just showing you this. I know it's like day 3, day 4 now for that, just to give you an idea that it's mainly Saturday night for that heavy snow across Wisconsin. This is the latest NAM forecast model, and it's showing you that, yes, the ice storm potential across northern Illinois, heavy rain there in central Illinois, and snow in southern Wisconsin Saturday morning. But then you kind of reach this lull point during the midday hours, daylight hours, and then as we go into the evening, you see that blossom back out. The NAM has a lot more of a warm wedge in here with more of a sleet, wintry mix thing going on, which is fine. It can do that at this point. And then as we go to 6 p.m. on Saturday and then overnight into Sunday morning, out by 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, according to the NAM. This is the latest one, and what I like about it is if we go take a look, at this, this is the 18Z. Now, this is the 18Z Kuchera method showing you where that main snowband was, or is. Where it was is not showing up, but where it was kind of throwing a wrench a little bit. It was considered an outlier. Now it's fallen in line a little bit better with the GFS. So they're all kind of saying the same thing now, and this one has up to 15 inches of snow there in eastern Wisconsin, which is a big deal. I don't know if we'll get there. I went with the conservative 8 to 12. You'll see in a second. Let's talk about wind gusts right now. Really quickly, this is the European. This is off of windy.com. You're seeing that I've dropped a pin at 45 miles per hour. 45 miles per hour north. It's a West Bend area north of Milwaukee, in between Milwaukee and Green Bay. Now this model wants to go all the way to 51 miles per hour. I wanted to take it back a little bit and really constrain the strongest gusts to Lake Michigan. Really, so this zone in here, offshore, probably going to see 45 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts, if not 60 miles per hour on the lake offshore. How much of that moves inland, I'm not totally sure, but it's something to note there. And that's a northeasterly wind there on Saturday. This is at 6 p.m. But if you draw a line from about here down, you're seeing that west of that line, these are probably 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts there across much of Wisconsin. Where it's snowing, where the heaviest snow is, where the strongest wind gusts are, southeast Wisconsin, probably close to that 35 to 45 mile per hour range. Yeah. I can't drop a pin there. I apologize. That's my son. He likes to help me forecast the weather. So there's the pin. 47. That's an upper bound. Like, it's not going to be gusting that much the entire time, but these are the gusts up to about 45 miles per hour there. Okay, and I'm not going to, if you put it on a loop, you'd see that these things kind of shift around a little bit. But yeah, so anyways. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Basically, just the main issue here is, it looks like the heaviest mounts are kind of coming in now across the eastern side of Wisconsin and here. I'm going to bet you that has something to do with lake enhancement or lake effect. But we do have a band here, kind of a narrow band across southern Wisconsin that goes into the 8 to 12 inch range. on the latest runs of the NAM. And the GFS is a little bit different. But what I did with the map, and you'll see it, well, I'll just show you, is I kind of didn't go all the way down with that 8 to 12. I kind of started it here and then moved it across southern Wisconsin. If you take a look at the GFS, you're going to see that that kind of makes sense in there. I know that's not the same amount. This is actually 10 to 1. Let me go to the Kuchera, which is, because the snow is going to be a drier, higher ratio snow there on Saturday night, it's going to outperform the 10 to 1 ratio that the European tends to be stuck on. So yeah, you get tends to be stuck in. That's the only thing they offer in terms of snowfall prediction, that ratio, and it's very important. But yeah, so anyways, 8 to 12, yeah, I mean, that's a generalized thing because, at this stage, day 3, you don't want to get too detailed and try to bite off more than you can chew. I've had situations where I've been really bold on that day 3 forecast, and I spent the next 2 days just totally on edge and nervous and just, oh my gosh, I hope my forecast is correct. And in most cases, it is pretty close, but sometimes you do have those situations. I know I can definitely think of many where, not many, because it's been a long process for me. Just within the last few years, I figured it out. But when I was, 5 years ago, when I was, 20, early 20s, trying to do this stuff, I messed up a lot on the basis that day 3 was 100% accurate. But it changed, it shifts, these things kind of come together. And as those short range models come in, you might see a heavier band in there somewhere, or they might disband that altogether. And those short range models, what they'll do is they'll probably pick up on the convective trends to the south. This is another point of emphasis on my update earlier to the Facebook page. You can't see it so much in here, but basically, we're just going to pretend here you can see beyond, down below this section. But down in here, thunderstorm activity, convective, hogging the moisture in that region as that moisture flows up from the south. You could have a situation where you don't have any snow in this region, or it's very minimal, and nothing's really going on or underperforming until about Saturday night. And then when it comes in on Saturday night, it's below what the forecast high totals were. The forecast, the 15 inches may not happen because you have too much moisture being sucked up to the south. Happens all the time. And again, I'm not going to pretend that I can outperform a forecast model and with all the mathematical stuff. I am a human. I'm just kind of looking at the trends and going, that's an opportunity where things might get messed up. And then adjusting my forecast to the 8 to 12 as opposed to the 12 to 15 or whatever the crazy amounts are to protect that, forecast. Because tomorrow we're going to come in and we're going to we're going to see what the models are showing at that point. And usually that 24-hour time frame, it's when they show the highest amounts. So I may not take the bait. I might try to sit back a little bit. Well, we'll see. We'll see how things go. And maybe I'm too low. This is just a closer look at the NAM, the latest one, just showing you that ice again. I mean, this is a deal here. I mean, that's really interesting. I'm going to be watching that pretty closely. But again, I do understand how delicate that setup can be with the freezing rain. I mean, even like in Chicago, urban areas of Chicago likely going to be warmer because of the urban heat effect. That you may not get the temperatures necessary for an ice storm, but in the suburbs to the west, fair game in my opinion. Okay, we showed you that, but that's basically what I got. As we go through the forecast, and maybe I should just show you because I think it might be fun to go through what the GFS is showing here as we go into the mid part of January. This is a zoomed out view, and I'm going to remove my red zone of pain there. We go into, here's the weekend storm, and you're seeing it blossom. There's Saturday night. It takes a while initially there, Saturday morning, but then Saturday night it really comes on strong. That moves through. A wave of snow then probably there early next week. Not too much going on. It seems to be very fast moving. Not really able to tap the moisture early next week. And as we go into maybe another round, you could have 2 quick moving rounds there, but generally minor in terms of accumulations. And then as we go into later part of next week, you're seeing a really big burst of cold air in here. And that may be true. I remember we talked about the EPO earlier, how that basically when that moves south or when you get a negative EPO, you allow colder air to infiltrate further south into the United States. And you're kind of seeing that come to fruition here on the GFS simulation. Again, how that all works out, we'll see. I'm not really thinking about next week so much. I'm kind of just trying to get through the weekend. But as we go, basically, I don't think Because what's going to happen is you may have that cold surge, but it's not going to stick because this pattern still remains in a favorable pattern for a western trough, which tends to unseat that cold across the east. As you see, another storm may develop, and this could be a big storm as well towards the mid part of January. But that might also be a sign of the pattern changing. That could be a pattern changer. Sometimes you see like big vortex, big spin. I know that, yes, all storms spin. They're all low pressure, rotate counterclockwise. My point is, though, sometimes you see that as a whole atmospheric, almost like system going on, and you go, okay, after this point, probably going to be a little bit different regime. So that's at 234 hours, 234 from the forecast. That's pretty far out, and we don't typically go this far out, but I just like to show you because I'm curious. Seeing another cold air outburst across the United States. So we could get into a pattern here where we're getting hammered with the cold. Okay, so we were mild. Let's go back to this page so you guys can see. We started, so let's review. December, Wisconsin was more of a mild thing. It wasn't not probably what you would expect for December, a mild, maybe there's more snow north than anywhere else. And it's kind of continued through into the new year. Into now almost. I know there's been cold times, certainly northern Wisconsin, a lot colder than southern Wisconsin, but overall, generally not like a very super cold pattern. That could change as we head into later January. So we'll talk about that on our website. Here's our website again if you are interested and help support this video, help support the forecasts I create. Again, this is my full-time job now. I'm going all in on weather forecasting. This is my passion, my life right here. Going to work for you on WisconsinWX.com. So appreciate you watching. I hope this is helpful. Again, I will talk to you guys. If you have a question, leave me a comment. I will get back to you. Thank you very much for watching. Talk to you soon.